In the summer of 1984, Elmwood, Nebraska was the kind of town where secrets grew like weeds, stubborn and deep-rooted. It was a place of clapboard houses, a single stoplight, and a diner where the coffee was always burnt. The heart of Elmwood was its school, a squat brick building where kids scrawled dreams in chalk, and teachers like Miss Clara Hensley kept the world spinning with gold stars and stern looks. Clara was 40, with a laugh like a bell and eyes that saw through excuses. The kind of woman who'd bake cookies for the class but never let you forget your homework. But that summer, something crept into Elmwood, something that didn't belong, and it started with the children. It began with Jenny Carter, a shy second grader with pigtails and a gap-toothed smile. Jenny started drawing in class. Not the usual flowers or houses, but circles, perfect, endless spirals that covered her papers, her desk, even the backs of her hands. Clara noticed, asked what they meant, but Jenny just stared, her eyes wide, and whispered, "They told me to." When Clara pressed, Jenny clammed up, but the word "they" hung in the air like smoke. Soon, other kids joined in. Tommy Brewer, the class clown, stopped joking and started humming, a low, tuneless drone that made the hairs on your neck stand up. Sarah Klein, who loved ponies, drew the same spirals, her crayons snapping from the pressure. The chalkboards filled with them, loops upon loops, as if the kids were tracing something only they could see. Elmwood whispered, as small towns do. Parents talked at the diner, their voices low, about the news, stories from California, from TV preachers, about cults and rituals, about the devil hiding in plain sight. The satanic panic, they called it, a fear that swept the country like wildfire, fueled by talk shows and tabloids. Elmwood wasn't California, but it had a church, and Pastor Reed was quick to fan the flames. He preached about signs, about evil slipping into innocent places, and folks listened. They looked at the spirals, at the kids' strange quiet, and saw something darker than childhood quirks. Clara tried to calm them, saying kids go through phases, but even she felt the weight, a coldness in the school that wasn't there before. The whispers grew teeth. At a town meeting, Mrs. Carter, Jenny's mum, stood up, her face pale, and said Jenny had talked in her sleep, not words but a chant, something old and wrong. Other parents nodded, their stories spilling out. Tommy carving spirals into his bed frame, Sarah staring at the moon like it spoke to her. Someone mentioned the old quarry outside town, abandoned since the 50s, where kids used to dare each other to jump. Maybe, they said, something was out there calling the children. Pastor Reed clutched his Bible and said it was a test, that Elmwood had to root out the evil before it spread. Clara, sitting in the back, felt her stomach twist. She didn't believe in devils, but she'd seen Jenny's drawings, felt the hum in the classroom, like a radio tuned to static. The town turned inward. Parents kept their kids home, the school half empty. The diner stopped serving strangers, and the church filled with prayer groups, their voices sharp with fear. Clara stayed at the school, grading papers in the quiet. But the spirals were everywhere, on the playground, etched into the brick, drawn in dust on the windows. One night she found Jenny there, alone, standing in the classroom, her fingers tracing a spiral on the chalkboard. Clara asked what she was doing, and Jenny turned, her eyes not a child's but something older, and said, "They're here, Miss Hensley. They've always been here." Clara's breath caught, not from the words but from the air, thick and heavy, like the room was holding its breath. She started digging, because Clara wasn't one to sit still. In the library she found old records, stories of Elmwood's founding, of the quarry where workers had died, crushed in a collapse nobody explained. There were whispers even then, of strange songs heard at night, of shapes in the dust. Clara read about the panic sweeping the country, about trials and accusations, about fear turning neighbors into strangers. She wondered if the spirals were just fear, a shadow cast by a town looking for monsters, but at night, alone in her house, she heard it. A hum, low and steady, like the earth itself was singing. The town reached a breaking point. A group of parents, led by Pastor Reed, marched to the quarry, armed with flashlights and prayers, determined to find the source. Clara went too, not because she believed, but because she had to know. The quarry was a scar, its walls jagged, the air stale with forgotten stone. They found nothing, no altars, no signs, just silence. But as they left, Clara lingered, her flashlight catching a spiral carved into the rock, old as time, its edges worn but perfect. The hum was louder here, not in her ears but in her bones, and for a moment she felt it, a presence, not evil but vast, older than Elmwood, watching from the earth's deep places. The next day, the spirals stopped. Jenny started drawing flowers again, Tommy cracked jokes, Sarah talked about ponies. The school filled up, the diner buzzed, and Pastor Reed preached about victory. Elmwood breathed easy, or tried to, but Clara never forgot. She kept Jenny's last spiral, a crumpled paper in her desk, and sometimes at night she heard the hum, faint, like a memory. The town didn't talk about the summer of '84, when fear drew circles around their hearts, and something ancient watched. Its song carried in the chalk, waiting for the next time a town turned on itself.